medical, and
It is day 5 of Israel's historic war with Iran, and you are looking live at Tel Aviv. It's Israel's second largest city, a bustling modern metropolis. But over the past few days, it's also been the scene of horrific war crimes as Iranian ballistic missiles have slammed into buildings and intentionally targeted Israeli civilians. I'm Eric Stakelbeck. This is a TBN special report. And here's the good news. The Iranian regime is in desperation mode and may even be on the brink of collapse. Yes, the regime has been able to cause significant damage to Israel, firing ballistic missiles at Tel Aviv, Haifa, and the Galilee, killing at least 24 Israeli civilians and wounding hundreds more. It is evil and it is tragic, and we ask you to join us in praying for the people of Israel, for God's divine hand of protection over his land. But folks, consider this. There are reports that Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, is now begging the Arab Gulf states like Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Oman to intercede on Iran's behalf with the United States. The Ayatollah, who just last week was vowing to destroy Israel as he rejected President Trump's offer of a nuclear deal, is now desperate for a ceasefire. And it's not hard to see why. In only 5 days, the Israel Defense Forces, through Operation Rising Lion, have destroyed Iran's nuclear facility at Natanz and seriously damaged additional Iranian nuclear sites like the one at Isfahan. Israel has also eliminated no less than 20 top Iranian military commanders and a dozen Iranian nuclear scientists, and it's destroyed some 1/3 of Iran's ballistic missile stockpiles. Again, this is all in just 5 days. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. Evil is being held accountable. The Iranian regime, the head of the snake responsible for decades of misery and mayhem across the region, is finally facing consequences for its wicked acts. And by the time the dust settles, we could be looking at a new Middle East with prophetic chess pieces moving all over the board. Over the next hour, we'll be joined live by guests in Washington, D.C. and Israel to break down what's happening now, what comes next, why it matters to you, and how we can pray. We begin, as always, in Jerusalem, where our TBN Israel correspondent Yair Pinto is standing by. Yair, thanks for joining us. I know you've been in and out of bomb shelters the past few days with your family. The sirens have been blaring. Now the Iranian regime is vowing to target Israel with missiles, quote, without interruption. Yair, set the scene for us, what it's like on the ground in Israel right now as this Iranian onslaught continues.
Yes, Eric. So Israel created this multi-layer alert system for the civilian and for all the people that are in the country now. So we get this alarm of get ready for a missile attack in your area within 30 minutes. Then after 30 minutes, we get an alarm within 10 minutes, a missile is imminent in your area. And then the alarm sirens start, and we have 1 minute to seek the bomb shelter. So Israel is really geared up into being close to bomb shelters, being in protected areas, and the whole country is ready for an impact, especially in the central areas of Tel Aviv. And we know that the missiles are penetrating because our defensive systems were not able to intercept 100% of these projectiles from Iran. So they are causing damage. But on top of that, the people need to be alerted and always surrounded and close to a bomb shelter. There are no schools. My kids are back to the Zoom days with the remote learning from the teachers. And only essential work positions are going to their office, such as news, medical, and electricity, food and stuff that we know from the days of the COVID vaccine regulations here in Israel. And this is in order to protect the nation and the people of Israel from an Iranian strike. This is the feeling of the country at this moment. But saying that, the morale of the people of Israel is very, very high, because we finally see that we are striking the head of the snake and not just fighting the proxies of this huge terror regime in Iran. And we see the successes. We see the stories of the Israeli Mossad successfully targeting the nuclear scientists, the head of the IRGC, their intelligence headquarters in the heart of Tehran. And above all, we see that the Ayatollah regime and the leader of this terrorist regime, Ayatollah Ali Ayatollah Khamenei, is hiding in bomb shelters, in bunkers, because he's afraid of an Israeli strike on him personally. Okay? Israel is basically peeling the layers and destroying the nuclear capabilities of Iran, one bomb, one strike at a time. And we are ready for the help of the United States, that we are receiving reports are on the verge of joining us in destroying this evil regime and completely terminating their nuclear program and their ballistic missile program, Eric. Keep us in your prayers, and thank you so much.
Absolutely. Hey, number one, thank you from all our TBN viewers for getting up in the middle of the night with us. Your family's been in bomb shelters. Yair, we can't thank you enough. Number two, we've got a quote from Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu here. If people think Israel's going to stop, think again. Here's what Bibi said earlier. We will not have a second Holocaust, a nuclear Holocaust. We already had one in the previous century. The Jewish state is not going to have the Holocaust meted out on the Jewish people. It's not going to happen. Never again is now, and we had to act now. So although the Iranian regime is reportedly begging for a ceasefire now, Yair, I think Bibi is committed to finishing the job. And the consequences, if he doesn't, are very dire for Israel and for the free world, I believe.
Yeah, definitely, Eric. I mean, some people say, this is not our war, this is Israel's war. Why do we, the United States or other countries in Europe, need to fight your war? And it's very important to understand that in the Middle East, when somebody is threatening to destroy you, and when I say you, I don't mean Israel, I mean Israel and the United States. Remember, Iran keeps calling Israel the small Satan and the United States the big Satan. They have been funding terror groups that disrupt all the maritime shippings from the east to the west. They are destabilizing this entire region. You don't want to give this sort of regime the strongest weapon that this world has, which is the nuclear bomb. Yeah. So we reached a point that within a few weeks, Iran could have 15 nuclear bombs. Eric, just imagine that one bomb can destroy and take out the whole country of Israel, and more than that. Yeah. So within 2 weeks, according to the Israeli estimates, Iran was ready to have 15 of these bombs. So now we had to take matters to our own hand and strike these centrifuges, these nuclear facilities, the scientists. And so far, we have pushed back their nuclear program years of work, years of knowledge, years of equipment was destroyed. The job is not done yet.
No, it's been a stunning operation, Yair, and helpful reminder for everyone watching, Israel is the size of the state of New Jersey. It's that small. So Israel doesn't get second chances here. It must finish the job. Yair, thank you so much. You'll be with us throughout the next 90 minutes with on-the-ground updates from Jerusalem. God bless, my friend. Stay safe. We'll talk to you again shortly. Yair Pinto.
عشان أعرفهم أنا حسيت بإيه.
بحر كله دم خارج منه 3 وحوش وأخطرهم أسد بعين واحدة.
الحرب دي مش هتخلص غير بحل واحد. الطاعون يكمل ويقضي على الكل.
أنا الطاعون.
شفت عين التانية؟
أول مرة ولاد الملك يتجمعوا في مكان واحد. فرقنا على موت.
الذهبي قتل الملك، دلوقتي بيدور على الولاد علشان يخلص منهم.
ودينا برضو اتجمعنا على موت. الراجل علاجه ست، مش حكيم.
ده حقيقي. أنا نفسي أفهم أنت بتعملي كده ليه؟
أنا رايحة القصر،
حتى لو هموت بعدها.
عموما الفرس بيوصل أسرع.
يبقى الفرس يوصل أسرع.
احنا في النهاية قطاع طرق وشوية متمردين نجرهم يحاربوا بطريقتنا.
من دلوقتي لازم نكون احنا الغفلة. المملكة ملهاش إلا ملك واحد.
أنا.
ازاي أقنعتيه يقتل واحدة ملهاش أي ذنب؟ جبت منين كل الغل والكره ده؟
منك. ايه يرجعك تاني تشوفني الأميرة جليلة؟
أنا بحب الفرجة قوي.
أبقى في حضن راجل تاني مثلا.
أنا كده كده ميت، وحتى بعد موتي هيفضل القصر ملعون.
ملعون بالدم والطاعون والنار.
اعتبريني ملاك، بس ملاك الموت.
الموت داخل على بيوتكم واحد واحد. دم يسيل كفارة عن نظركم لأمير الأرض السوداء.
عاوزني ملك على أموات؟
شغل على يانجو بلاي.
Booking.com makes trip planning easy, even when your friend group travels in different styles. Be the group chat hero with exclusive travel deals. Booking.com, Booking.yeah.
Joining us now from Israel is the former international spokesperson for the Israel Defense Forces. He is now a senior fellow at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies in Washington, D.C. Lieutenant Colonel Jonathan Conricus is with us. Jonathan, always great to see you. You and I have been talking about this for years. The coming showdown between Israel and the Iranian regime. The moment of reckoning has now arrived, and the Iranian regime appears to be, and its military machine right now, Jonathan, appears to be in tatters. 1/3 of their ballistic missile launchers eliminated by the IDF. Countless Iranian top military generals. The Natanz nuclear site in ruins. What's your assessment thus far of Operation Rising Lion?
Shalom, Eric, and shalom to everybody watching. Yes, this is not the first and not the 10th time that we speak about it. And of course, this has been in the making for the better part of, I would say, 20 or 25 years. The Islamic Republic of Iran has been waging an indirect and lately direct war against the State of Israel. The Islamic Republic has an official goal to annihilate the State of Israel, or as they refer to it, the Zionist regime. And they were sprinting in order to achieve nuclear weapons capabilities. I don't think that the Iranians will achieve not the destruction of Israel and not nuclear weapons. What Israel is doing now is disassembling the Iranian regime's ability to project force, but also to project control over Iran itself. Israel has blasted its way and today has aerial superiority in Iranian skies, unprecedented, by the way, in history. No other country has ever done that and achieved that against Iran. And Israeli airplanes are, as we speak, attacking military targets and nuclear targets according to a very well-defined and researched list of targets. You mentioned a few, but as we speak, or an hour ago, Israel expanded the types of targets that it is striking, and is now striking the television or the propaganda arm of the Iranian regime for the first time. And this is after most of the Supreme Command was taken out. Many key nuclear scientists were taken out, and as I said, air defenses. So this is a historic moment. I don't use that reference lightly, but this is an historic moment. And I really hope that this will lead to stability and prosperity in the Middle East for everyone.
Yeah, Jonathan, well said. I think we are on the verge of a new Middle East. It's ultimately exciting. And just to draw the distinction here, Israel today called for civilians in Tehran, the Iranian capital, to evacuate. Israel goes to great pains to avoid any civilian casualties. On the other hand, Iran, Jonathan, is intentionally targeting Israeli civilian centers. Talk more about that. Iran, again, they are intentionally aiming to kill women and children, civilians.
Yeah, the numbers tell the story, and no volume of Iranian rhetoric and propaganda can convince anybody differently. Israel so far has 28 fatalities, all of them civilian. 590 people have been wounded, almost all of them civilian. And that is, of course, a direct result of massive Iranian missile fire at Israeli cities. The images are unimaginable. You know, you look at the scenes, the impact scenes, entire residential buildings, 7, 8, 10 floor buildings, when they get a direct hit, we've seen them crumble and disintegrate. And that is, of course, because the Iranians are using ballistic missiles. These are objects almost as big as an American school bus. They weigh about a ton and about 500 kilograms of high-level explosives at the tip of each one of them. Now, Israeli air defenses have been very effective, and they've shot out of the sky most of what the Iranians have fired at Israel. Sadly, the Iranians have found a way to kind of overwhelm air defenses and locally in a certain geographic area overwhelm the air defenses and get a few missiles to slip through. But by and large, despite the fact that we have had 24 casualties, the defenses are working. Israel, supported by the U.S., actively supported by the U.S., is defending itself. This is, again, an opportunity for me as an Israeli to express gratitude for the defense collaboration between Israel and the U.S., for the fact that we are using weapon systems that were developed together, Israel and the U.S., and most of it was U.S. funding. And this is tremendously important. And by the way, return on investment, all of the weapon systems are now combat proven, and a lot is modified as we speak. And that's, of course, a great thing for America, because the weapon systems that were built together are now feeding back into the American system as well.
Yeah, great breakdown. And I just keep thinking, Jonathan, these ballistic missiles we're seeing bombard Haifa, Tel Aviv, the Galilee, what if they were nuclear tipped? That was the end game for the Iranian regime. And I think the Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, alluded to this earlier this morning. Israel right now is really acting as the first line of defense for all of Western civilization. They're fighting the good fight for the entire free world on the front lines. The end game. I know we're still obviously in the midst of it. There's much work to be done by the IDF. Does the end game look like a complete dismantlement of Iran's nuclear program, a massive dent in its ballistic missile capabilities? There's already reports that Iran, behind the scenes, is scurrying for a ceasefire. What is a satisfying end game for Israel here in this operation?
Yeah, so two parts to that. What I would have liked to hear from the Germans, the French, the Brits, and the Canadians and all other democracies in the world would have been, thank you, Israel. Thank you, Israel. We stand by Israel with no ifs and buts, but we support Israel because you are doing the heavy lifting and the dirty work for the free world. And if we put this into historical context, this will be the third nuclear military program that Israel takes care of in the Middle East that belong to crazy Muslim regimes. 1981, Osirak, 2007, Deir ez-Zor, so Iraq and Syria, and now 2025, Iran. No other country has done that, and even though critics around the world will blame Israel for taking aggressive action, this is preemptive action, and this is actually promoting stability and promoting peace and doing a good thing for the world, for the region, and for the world. And I think that Israel should get much better support. Now, endgame, here it becomes interesting because officially Israel speaks about the nuclear program and taking care of an existential threat. I believe that. But I think that there's another end game here beyond the things that you so correctly pointed out, ballistic missiles and their ability to continue to fund terror organizations around the world and in the Middle East. Those are very important targets. But I actually believe that Israel would be very happy to see the Iranian regime go under. I don't think that Israel has the capacity to execute regime change. Iran is a nation of about 100 million. We're less than 10 million. We are about 10 million, and they're far, far away. But I think that Israel would definitely be happy, relieved, and it would favor Israel and the region if the Islamic regime of Iran would indeed be toppled by the Iranian population. Israel isn't operating in order to achieve that yet, but it's clear, and anybody who is a moderate studier of history knows that any non-democratic regime, the enemy number one of any tyrant is first and foremost the people that they oppress. And the Iranian people, as they see the Iranian regime weakened, exposed, vulnerable, and not capable of defending itself against an external force, maybe they will be motivated to reclaim their freedom, reclaim governance, and to get rid of the Islamic regime. That's still in the future, but I think there's a chance that things will go that way.
Yeah, and they are the main victims, the Iranian people, of this evil regime, Jonathan. And people need to know, prior to 1979, that Islamic Revolution, Iran and Israel had a great relationship. We pray that's on the horizon once again. Jonathan Conricus, thank you so much, my friend. Stay safe. God bless you, Jonathan. Great breakdown. We'll see you again soon.
Thank you, Eric. Shalom.
What a great breakdown from our good friend, Lieutenant Colonel Jonathan Conricus. Now, folks, you just got the Israeli military perspective there from Lieutenant Colonel Conricus. Coming up in a minute, General Michael Flynn, former National Security Advisor under President Trump, will join us with the American perspective of this war, why it matters to you here in the United States. But up first, speaking of President Trump, here's what he's saying about the Iran-Israel war. Quote, "It looks like Iran isn't winning this war. They need to talk before it's too late. Will they come back to the negotiating table? We shall see." Okay, before we join General Michael Flynn, folks, we're going to take a look live at Jerusalem, God's one and only holy city. Jerusalem is mandated. It's a mandate for every believer, every Christian, every follower of Jesus to pray for the peace of Jerusalem. So let's take a moment right now before we go to General Flynn and do exactly that. A moment of silence here to pray for the peace of Jerusalem.
وبأنسى كل الملل وانا في عاص بستانس وونسكم طق رقبه وبالمختصر خلونا نلعب ونضحك طول العمر.
ChatGPT gets 123 million visits a day, and most people still use it like a toy. Here is how to use it smart.
Teenagers are building businesses with AI, while the only AI you know is ChatGPT. Tomorrow morning, we're starting the 28-day AI challenge for beginners over 50. Just 15 minutes, a day to level up your life. In 1 week, you'll feel unstoppable. In 2 weeks, you'll have your strategy. In 3 weeks, you'll wonder why you didn't start sooner. Tap the screen to join us.
Joining us now is the one and only General Michael Flynn, former National Security Advisor during President Trump's first term and author of the brand new book coming out June 24th, Pardon of Innocence. General, great to see you. Hey, I think you've taken a very common sense, America first perspective to the war between Israel and Iran right now. You've said, look, I don't want to see wars in the Middle East, but this is a war of necessity for Israel. You can't have Islamic fanatics in Tehran with nuclear weapons. And by extension, it seems Israel's actions are making the West and America safer. What have you seen so far? What's your breakdown of the current conflict?
Yeah, so I've been, and anybody that wants to follow me, I've been putting out daily sit reps, actually multiple sit reps a day, situation reports for just the awareness of people that follow me on X, and it goes across all my social media platforms. So here's where I'm at. I mean, this is one where we can no longer have this threat of a nuclear-armed Iran with a real tyrannical, and I call it psychopathic because the way that they've demonstrated their the way that their regime has been run for the last 50 years almost. They have they're still the leading state sponsor of terrorism, according to our own country. They have these surrogate organizations in Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthis, and Israel has come to a point where the development of the nuclear capability inside of Iran was getting too close. And there have been some tests, there have been some things that the Iranians were doing that clearly got the attention of Israel, and Israel has been paying very, very close attention to this. It's not a matter of, they're years away or they're decades away. We've been hearing this for a long, long time. They were very, very close. Now, I say it could have been days or weeks, but once you get to a point of uranium enrichment, once you get past a certain percentage of enrichment, then the enrichment moves very fast. And the ability for some engineers and scientists to marry up ballistic missile capabilities, which obviously Iran has plenty of, and a nuclear warhead, it becomes very simple. It becomes a very simple engineering problem. And then you have a nuclear weapon, and you're part of that nuclear club, and the whole dynamic changes because Iran has stated publicly many, many times that they, not only that Israel is their enemy, but that they have every desire to annihilate an entire population and an entire nation off of the map. I mean, they've said it almost verbatim. So under the Bibi Netanyahu leadership in Israel, they finally made the decision, and rightly so, and they're going this alone. And I say this alone with, it's a little bit tongue-in-cheek, Eric, because everybody's like, well, we don't want to get mired, we the United States, we don't want to get mired in another Middle East war, and we don't. But I want everybody, all of your listeners, to know that we provide intelligence capabilities, we provide weapon systems, we provide training, we provide education to all of the countries in the Middle East except for Iran. And we've been providing billions and billions of dollars to Egypt, to the Saudis, to other of the, to the Jordanians, to the Lebanese, I mean, on and on and on. So every single Arab country in that region has been getting billions of dollars in weapon systems, intelligence, training, and education as a minimum. So for us, for anybody to go, well, Israel this, Israel that, hey, Israel is getting the kinds of capabilities that Israel deserves, and Israel demonstrates a very mature way to apply them and has always been very good about that over many, many years. A lot of people have a lot of differences of opinion, smart people, but I'm telling you, I'm sitting here as a guy who has spent 5 years of my life in combat operations, most of it in that region. I have lived in that region. The 27 countries of the U.S. Central Command, when I was the head of intelligence for U.S. Central Command. So I know this region very well. My career as a military intelligence officer was really spent on the coup that occurred in 1979 when Jimmy Carter was president. And then we continued to face the Soviet Union until they collapsed. And now we face this brutal dictatorship in Iran. And I think Israel has gotten to a point in history where they've said enough is enough. And so we're going to go in for regime change. And that's what they ought to, that's what that's what Israel should say. I mean, that's what I'm telling you, your audience, that this is about regime change. It is about making sure that Iran never has the capability to have a nuclear weapon. And we should make sure that that is the case because this is that particular regime was a psychotic regime. And the end of the day, the objective, the clear objective to me, and it's always been this, has been regime change. Once we have regime change, that changes the dynamic historically, particularly if the new regime that comes in under Iran is aligned with the West and better aligned with the United States. That changes the global dynamic of the world when it comes to the U.S.-China relationship and this adversarial relationship that we are now having with the Chinese because of a variety of factors happening here at home with things like the introduction of fentanyl, bioweapons, et cetera. So the whole trade issue that Trump is going through. And it also, a Western-aligned Iran also can bring them closer to countries like India. It can bring them closer to nation states like Israel. It can give them an opening to other markets in Europe instead of being constantly sanctioned because of the psychopaths that were currently running this country, and that's Iran. So there's a lot of, oh my God, there's a lot of
all around. Hey, real quick, by the way, you hit on great points. What a breakdown, as always, by General Michael Flynn. Hey, I wanted to ask you real quick. Of course, Iran refers to Israel as the little Satan, but they referred to America as the great Satan. The regime was developing intercontinental ballistic missiles that could travel across oceans and reach the United States. It seems to me that Israel is doing the world a favor in this operation. Can you talk a bit about how Iran's really been in a state of war with the United States? I think back to 79, of course, which you mentioned, the embassy takeover, 1983, the Marine barracks bombing. I think of hundreds, at least, of our brave soldiers killed in Iraq thanks to Iranian IEDs over the past several years. Iran had a bullseye, ultimately, it seems, on the back of the great Satan, in its words, the United States.
Yeah, and you know, places like Khobar Towers, the Houthis shutting down the what's called Bandar al-Abab, the straits that comes out of the Red Sea down in the south into the Arabian Sea, the Suez Canal. That dynamic changes. So there's some very geopolitical issues that are in play that you're touching on, Eric. And the Iranians have been doing nothing but hurting and causing mayhem in this part of the world. And you mentioned the intercontinental ballistic missiles, which are not out of the question for Iran to have developed under the Khomeini regime. So, you know, I think what's happening is actually necessary at this point in time. You know, the Israelis are not asking for army divisions or Marine regiments. They're not even asking for naval carrier groups. Although I understand that the United States, President Trump has made the decision to put a third carrier battle group in the region. But that's a lot of reasons why we're putting more forces into the region right now, is because we have thousands of men and women and families that are stationed there. I mean, people don't realize it. I mean, we have thousands still in Iraq. We have thousands in Jordan. We have thousands in the Saudis. I'm talking about political diplomats, military, and some families, as well as an American diaspora of business community. So there's a lot of Americans that are in that region for all the right reasons. And President Trump just does not want them threatened during a time of heightened tension.
General Michael Flynn, well said as always. Common sense in times where common sense is not so common. As always, from our good friend General Michael Flynn, Pardon of Innocence, June 24th. Pick it up. General Flynn, thank you for this great breakdown. Thank you for your service to our country. God bless, my friend. We'll see you again soon.
All right. Thanks, Eric. See you.
If you are just joining us, this is a TBN special report, Israel at War. I'm Eric Stakelbeck, and folks, yes, Israel is at war right now with its arch enemy, the Iranian regime. This is day 5 of an historic war, stunning military successes by Israel, a surprise assault. Operation Rising Lion began early Friday morning. Joining us now from Jerusalem with more on-the-ground breakdowns of this developing war is TBN Israel correspondent Yair Pinto, co-host of Boots on the Ground, seen right here on TBN every Thursday night at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Yair, here's a question for you that a lot of people ask me. I'm in Israel frequently, of course. They say, how do the Israelis do it? They're fighting a war really now on 7 fronts, not only directly against Iran now, but also against Iran's proxies like Hamas and Hezbollah. Can you talk about the unity of the people of Israel now and the morale, especially since October 7th? This has brought the people of Israel more closely together, it seems, than ever before, despite the constant threats.
Yes, Eric. First of all, I just received reports that 5 unidentified drones, suicide drones, UAVs, were intercepted by the IDF and the Israeli defensive systems in the northern part of the country. Okay, so this war is ongoing. We're not just reporting something that happened a few weeks or a few months ago. We are at war, and we're at war against 7 different enemies for 620 something days already, consecutively. And I know this personally because I've been in the front lines in the north against Lebanon, against Hezbollah, and in the south, in the Gaza Strip, in Khan Yunis. We still have hostages. And before October 7, Israel was divided. We were fighting over political reasons, but there's not much fighting going on when your enemies are trying to annihilate you from the face of this earth. So yes, the people of Israel are united. We understand that this is a spiritual war, and the enemies of Israel want to destroy us because Israel is living proof of God's faithfulness to mankind. And I think that this is an amazing time to look at God's modern day miracles. We are serving a God that is performing miracles today on this land, in the land of Israel. So I'm really encouraged. The people of Israel are strong, and they are going back to reserve duty with high percentage numbers. Like more and more people are going back when they're called. There is no setbacks in defending this country, Eric.
Amen, Yair. Well said. And I think the entire world is just so impressed and blown away by the resilience of Israel. By the way, we talk about serving in the reserves. Our good friend, your co-host for Boots on the Ground here on TBN, Mati Shoshani, is in reserve duty right now. You, of course, were serving in Gaza not so long ago. Thank you for staying up, my friend. Great insights as always. You'll be back with us throughout this hour. Yair, God bless. Stay safe. We'll see you again very soon. But folks, it was just over a month ago that Matt Crouch, Ambassador Mike Huckabee, and Pastor Ed Young Sr. sat down to talk about Iran, and boy, were they ahead of the curve. Take a look.
Mr. Ambassador, when you start talking about Iran, I remember that was Prime Minister Netanyahu's kind of answer when I said, day one of your 6th term as Prime Minister, what do you need to accomplish for the future of Israel and on behalf of the state?
Well, the first 3 things are easy. Block Iran, block Iran, block Iran.
I have a very dear pastor friend, Ed Young, who represents a part of the American mindset that we're tired of having to listen about this Iran. Your concerns in regard to Iran, Pastor Ed?
Very clear, and I would say this to the ambassador, and I think I could speak for 90% of the citizens of the United States of America. Something must be done. Now is the hour to take care of the head of the snake.
Okay,
whatever this works.
Well, there you go. The head of the snake comment, Mr. Ambassador.
It is a snake. For 46 years, the Iranian regime, and I want to be real clear in distinguishing between the Iranian regime and the Iranian people.
Yes. Right.
The Iranian people are beautiful, wonderful, well-educated, thoughtful people that are under the oppression of the Ayatollah since 1979. But for 46 years, the regime has threatened Israel, threatened the United States, and they've never done one good deed that I can come to my mind to think of. There comes a point at which you would ask yourself as Americans, how many missiles would need to come into Houston, Texas, before Americans would say, okay, we've had 300 and that's enough. How many missiles into any of our cities would it take before we said, that's it, don't let this happen again? It wouldn't take thousands, and that's what Israel has faced. It would take one. It would take one. If Toronto sailed a missile into Buffalo, if Mexico City sent one into Houston, if Tijuana sent one into LA, I'm telling you, one missile, and all of America would stand up and say, okay, Mr. President, that's it. Stop this, and stop it now.
Yeah.
Folks, number one, 2 things here. Number one, how great is it? How God-ordained is it that a Bible-believing Christian, our good friend, Ambassador Mike Huckabee, is now America's top diplomat in Israel, literally for such a time as this? Only God. And of course, he hosted the Great Huckabee Show here on TBN for years. Now he is America's top man in Israel at the most consequential moment in Israel's modern history. Without a doubt, prophetic times, Bible times, and Mike Huckabee, a dear friend of TBN, is there. I can't think of a better ambassador to help navigate the U.S. and help navigate President Trump through these tumultuous times in the world's most chaotic and volatile region, the Middle East. Number two, Ambassador Huckabee made a very important point there with Matt Laurie and Pastor Ed Young. The Iranian regime is the enemy, not the Iranian people. I've been saying here on TBN over the past few days that I've been reminding you, I should say, that Iran is a Bible land. Guess what? Modern day Iran, that was ancient Persia from your Bible. Esther, Mordecai, Darius, Cyrus, that is Iran. It's an ancient and proud civilization that's been hijacked over the past 46 years by this wicked regime, the world's #1 state sponsor of terrorism, and the Iranian people, large majorities of whom oppose and detest this regime, are the main victims of it. That regime's jackboot has been on the necks of the Iranian people, again, for decades. They may finally be about to be freed from that yoke. And here's something encouraging to hold on to during this program and as we go forward into the next days and weeks and months as this situation continues to develop. The Iranian church is the world's fastest growing. Yes, against all odds, living under one of the world's most repressive regimes, a regime that murders, tortures, imprisons Christians. The gospel is spreading. You can't stop the gospel. It's growing by leaps and bounds, largely in underground churches in Iran. Be encouraged. God is moving in this Bible land, once known as Persia, now known as Iran. Okay, you may be wondering, what's happening? The Middle East, they're at war again, Israel and Iran going toe-to-toe. Well, our point man on the ground in Israel, no one gives a better breakdown on the state of play and the situation than our TBN Israel correspondent, Yair Pinto. He is, of course, co-host of our weekly show, Boots on the Ground, seen right here on TBN every Thursday night at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Hey, folks, he also has a huge, and I'm not overstating that, YouTube channel, the TBN Israel channel, over 1.3 million subscribers. We encourage you to subscribe. But Yair filed today a great on-the-ground breakdown of the situation, what comes next, and most importantly, why it matters to you and the body of Christ. Take a look.
خليك متواصل بأكثر من 80 دولة مع أريد باسبورت.
This is Yair Pinto bringing you the unvarnished truth from Israel. Over the last 3 days, Operation Am Kelaviv has rewritten the Middle Eastern rulebook. The Israeli Air Force has carved an aerial highway 1,500 kilometers straight to Tehran, hammering 720 military installations and another 170 targets, and the count is still climbing. Tonight alone, dozens of surface-to-surface missile batteries in western Iran were leveled, even while a fresh barrage was in the air towards the Israeli cities. The goals are simple: cripple the Iranian rush to the bomb and silence its ballistic missile arsenal. Large complexes such as the Fordo are still standing and rockets continue to fall. Yet Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says that the nuclear program has already been delayed quite a bit, buying precious time. Israel is therefore bracing for many more days of war. Most sorties shredded missile bases and air defensive shields, securing Israeli air superiority. A covert Mossad explosive drone